Man, we have an incredible guest today, and I'm excited to introduce you to Josh McCown. Man, Josh is man, he's just a really special person. Not because just his 17 years in the NFL or doing what one thousandth of 1% of people do in this world that endeavor to take on what he's done playing football, but really more the man he is, the servant leader that he is, and I'll tell you, I asked him, say, hey, our guys have been going through, it's been a tough time up in the Pacific, or the Northeast. It's been a tough season for our team up there, man. They've done great things. They're having a record month in business, but it's been a hard year, and it's a hard time right now with everything we're dealing with Corona. And I asked him, say, would you come on to a call with us and just share some of the lessons that you've learned over your life of what it's looked like to deal with adversity and overcome adversity, and some of those great lessons that football has taught you. And immediately, within just seconds, Josh has texted me back, absolutely, man, I'd love to. How can I serve? I mean, that's just the heart that every one of you have, and that's the heart that he has. And that's what I'm excited to have him share with you all today. I know I got to see great guys like Josh in the NFL and see what great leadership looked like. And that's what I try to pour back into a lot of you all, some lessons that I have learned. But, man, I'm excited to bring a guy that went a lot further than I did, had a lot more success. If my career had gone the way Josh was, I might still be playing in the NFL. But I had to pivot into this mortgage thing because it was not no one wanted me to hang around for 17 years and come back. So I'm excited to have Josh here with us. And, man, he's been gracious enough to open up. We're going to do some Q&A. We're going to talk about, football. Might talk about some faith, work ethic, perspective, and any and all things in between. So, Josh, man, thank you so much, man, for being gracious enough to come on here, man. This is a special group of men and women. I love them, and they're going to receive what you pour into them. And I can promise you, man, there's no group of people in our organization, I'd argue maybe even the country, that are more inspirable. The word inspirable. These guys are inspirable and go off and do great things. Man, I can brag about every one of them. The stuff that Mike has built, dozens and hundreds of churches now in Central America, and a lot of the work he's done. He's run the whole region. Spiro, again, we've gone from $0 to $90 million in production. One of the top 5 lenders in Philly, one of the top 50 mortgage banks in the U.S. if we were to separate it out that way. But these are serious leaders, man. I'm excited to have you pour into them. So thank you for being with us, brother.
Thanks for having me on. And I'm going to tell you this, I don't know if I would have gone 18 years if I would have got a ring as early as you did. I might have quit and gone and done something else. Now, I probably wouldn't have started a mortgage company because I'm not that smart, but I'm still chasing that thing. That's why I ended up in Philly this year. But I appreciate you guys having me. I look forward to chatting with you guys.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I'm going to turn it over to these guys. Spiro, I think you're up first. You got a question here for Josh.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh, again for joining us today, man. We really appreciate it. I know you're taking time out of your day for us. But one of the questions I have, you've been in the league for 17 years. That obviously takes a mental and physical toll on your body. I saw the other day, I think they said the average NFL player lasts in the league 3 years, right? NFL stands not for long, right?
Yeah.
What did you do different from a mental and physical preparation to help you stay in the league for 17 years?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I think consistent with the routine. And so, I'd like to tell a lot of young guys like this, well, it's April now, but this time of year, right after the season ends, a lot of guys like to kick their feet up for 2 or 3 months. They've done their work and now they're going to chill, and they'll get back into it around April. And I always felt like that was a lot of time, 2 or 3 months to like not be doing anything and not be really active and not be working at your craft. I thought that was always a little too much, in my opinion. And I remember talking to Warren Moon early on in my career, and he talked about that. It was like, you can't let off, months at a time like that. And Jerry Rice said that I was at a golf event with him, said the same thing. Like he said, man, I never really took any time off. And so I always kind of kept that in my mind, and just like I really would take like a week or so, and then in January really picked up and started going again, working out really hard, training really hard, and then studying the game, like taking this time to study other players and study what people in my field are doing and what they're doing what quarterbacks are doing to move the football, what offenses are doing game plan wise. So I think just kind of consistently and methodically over the year, pursuing that daily instead of in ramping up for the hot season. We're going to go really hard, and then we're going to back, and so there's always a good balance that you must, maintain where rest is required. But at the same time, I think what's helped me last is just keeping my mind on it all the time and working and pursuing it every day. And even now, like, it's hard to shut off for me. I don't know, go down the next year or so, but I still treat this time, and obviously I'm rehabbing a hamstring, but I treat this time the same way where I'm constantly working. So I think that's been the thing that's allowed me to last as long, is a routine. And I think, I tell young guys, young players a lot of times, the routine saves you. Like, if you can develop a consistent approach with your mental, your physical, your spiritual, that's going to save you in each facet, because there are times when you don't feel like doing it. But the routine, because you have discipline in your routine, it's over time, the days, if you have 7 days in a week, maybe 4 of them you wake up and you're fired up to be in the weight room, or you're fired up to be in the film room, or you're fired up to sit down and spend some time spiritually, in your faith. But the other 3, maybe you're not. But because of the routine, like, your muscles don't know any different. Your muscles benefit because you go in there and you work. And your soul benefits because you go and you spend time. So the routine saves you. So I think as consistent as you can be with your routine, that will build over time consistency in your life and in your career.
Man, I want to pause on that for a second, because that is
Wow.
so profound and powerful, guys. It's actually reminding me of some things, because I've said that a lot, Josh. Like, guys, like, how do you get so much done? I was like, man, I have a routine that I kind of follow, and I have a lot of comfort in it. And I think it's because the same thing that you're articulating that I experienced, right? Which is, man, you see the results of a consistent effort in the same direction over time. And a guy told me one time, John Casey, actually, I don't know if you know John.
Yeah,
John, great guy here in John.
Yeah.
Yes, John. You mentioned Warren Moon. So the 2 things I just wrote down while you were talking were find great mentors. Find great mentors. You mentioned 2 guys, Jerry Rice and Warren Moon. And I didn't know either one of those guys, but I've heard the stories of their work ethic and their approach also. Like, when I got in the league, Wesley Walls was my like kind of mentor, right? And Wesley had mentored under Jerry Rice at the Niners. Wesley was a rookie for the Niners, and Jerry Rice was on that team. And he told me about Jerry's off-season work ethic. And Wes was the same way. Wes was 12 years in the league. Every day after practice, set up the jugs machine, pay the guy $50, and he'd catch 200 balls over each shoulder off the jugs, right? Just every single day. And I was like, Wes, you're like, 5-time All-Pro, man. Like, I'm like, yeah, I need to do this. Like, why are you? He goes, no, man, this is routine. He's like, I didn't have very good hands. They drafted me in the 3rd round. I played defense. I had bad hands. I couldn't catch anything. And Wesley had some of the best hands in the NFL. Like, by the time I'd gotten there, so it was because the power of his routine of every single day, 200 balls over each shoulder off that jugs machine, man. And I started to, like, take those little lessons and apply them to my life and the rhythms of my life. And John Casey told me, man, you'll be disappointed in what you can get done in 1 year, but you'll be amazed in what you can get done in 3 if you put powerful routines into your life. And he was actually mentoring me spiritually. It was about reading the Bible and studying. Because I was like, John, how do you know all this scripture? He said, man, you'll be really disappointed after 1 year. You'll be like, God, I still don't know anything. If you consistently read, study it, man, you'll be amazed what you know after 3. But you take that lesson of 3 years and apply it to almost anything. I think, Spiro, even when you think about your market, that 3rd year is when you guys went crazy in Philly. It was because of a consistent, disciplined effort to go out, recruit, do your sales calls and everything else. And I know it's the same right now for guys. A lot of people, your competitors, are using this time of adversity as an excuse to stop working.
Yeah.
Binge Netflix, sit on the couch, see how much TV I can watch. And in fact, the guys that are going to come screaming out of this are the ones that use this time of adversity and a pause to do exactly what Josh is saying, man, of like think through, man, how they can powerfully focus on their business, keep grinding away, and separate themselves from their competitors out there. Man, that's powerful stuff. Mike, Brennan.
Yes, sir. So
we got.
Josh, thank you so much for jumping on with us. As I told you, I think earlier when we jumped on, you guys representing every team in the Northeast Mid-Atlantic right here on with us today, and Movement team, Movement fam. So glad that we could do this for you guys today and have you guys on with us and get to spend some time with Josh and the rest of the team. So, Josh, in your last answer, you talked a lot about preparedness. So I think I got a good question to kind of follow up with that. So last year, going into playoff start, you guys go to face Seattle. Wentz goes down. How do you mentally and physically prepare for something like that when something happens so unexpected on the drop of a dime?
Right. So if you're in a backup role or you're a person that's on you're one play away, so to speak. I think it's a mindset that you have to operate with, where the first thing is just it's something I tell myself is run to the fight. Like run to the fight. You're either going to run away or run to it. So you run to the fight, and so it's it's weird because I'm sitting there with Carson and he's telling me his head's hurting and I'm trying to counsel him, and to be full disclosure, I know he's our best chance to win. I want him to play. He's so I'm like, buddy, are you sure? How many fingers I got? All that. But he was just like, man, I don't feel good. And I said, well, also understanding how far our game has come with concussion and things like that, I said, man, you need to get checked out then. Like this is the right thing to do. As much as I want you out there, like you need to get checked out. So, but once we shifted from that conversation, it was immediately, okay, run to the fight. Let's go. And what kept me prepared was the process that Carson and I took all year, and the way that we and the way that we worked together throughout the week. So on Monday, how we watched the opponent, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday after practice, the stuff we talked about, the way I would quiz him, like all those things. It's funny because it's what I learned, when I was out of the league and I got back in the league, and I was with the Bears, 11 and 12, and then 13 was with the Bears, and Jay Cutler went down. I played a 5-game stretch, and it's really what's kind of I played, at the highest level I played really well. And people said, what was the difference? And I said, well, you know what? When I got back in, I started serving people. I come out of a stretch, and we'll talk more about this through adversity, but I come out of being out of the league. And so I really figured out how to serve people in my personal life, which translated to my work life. And so I was helping these guys study the offense. We had a new head coach, Mark Tresman in Chicago, and helping them study the offense. And what I realized is as I was teaching them, I was mastering it myself. And so it was helping me. So when my opportunity came, I played at a higher level. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was like, man, this is crazy. Like I helped somebody else and I got better because of it, which is wild because the rest of the world kind of works backwards. It's take as much as you can and shove everybody else to the side. And so really the same thing in that playoff game was all of the stuff that I had done all year, especially coaching high school football and then working with Carson, it just was like when I stepped onto the field, our center, Jason Kelsey, fires shotgun snaps back there harder than anybody in America. And so that was my, like, everything else I felt good about. It was just like, catch the freaking snap, okay? Like, let's just, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so for me, I think it was the time spent with Carson, serving him, trying to help him get ready, trying to help other guys on the roster. If you remember our season, we lost so many guys, to injury, Alshon, Deshaun, Jackson, Nelly was out. So we had lost so many guys, and we were constantly pulling guys aside and doing like extra walkthroughs and teaching them the offense and this, that, and the other. And we pulling guys off the street. And so because when you do that, I just believe, and I think that's how, the universe is set up. I believe that the greatest teacher of all time was Jesus. He set it up that if you tell people about your life and your faith and you teach it to somebody else, you're going to get better at it. It's mastery that way. And so I think it's the same thing for me that I've seen in my career is when I share, when I'm talking ball, when I'm giving it away, when I'm teaching other guys, I get better at it. And so I think that's what led to being able to step in that game and be ready to go and be ready to run to the fight.
Awesome. Great stuff. Hey, Case, it's like he's watching he's in your meetings. I hear a lot of similarities between you two.
Yeah, the problem is he's like bursting the bubble, man. Like this stuff sounds like I'd come up with it, man. This is like old football coach stuff from decades that we all got. So, no, it's awesome, man. Because we've been talking about, this week, Josh, just being fast to the fight. And I kind of said, man, the best teammates I ever had. I was using the example of a kid that played about 10 years in the league. He went to West Charlotte High School right here. His name was Wally Rayner, played with me in Virginia. Yeah. And I kind of joked and said, man, anytime there was an altercation on the field, on the practice field, first one coming up from the top was 44. So he was fast to the fight, man. He was he was going to have your back and then some. He was more mad the guy than you were by the time he had it. And there's a lesson there of like pressing in and you're having each other's back and be. But the second thing was, man, like let's be fast to adjust problems, right? Let's go fast towards them, man, and let's press into them, not run from them, not hope they go away, man, but be guys who are leading with confidence and courage. and the amazing effect that has on people around us too. Because one of the things, man, I love and appreciate about that Eagles team was, man, especially in that Super Bowl season, you got to see it exposed because they did so many behind the scenes interviews with like Ertz and Wentz and all these guys. It's like, man, these guys have each other's back. Like they love each other really well. And it didn't seem like this hyper ego kind of driven group, man. It seemed like a group of guys who were fast to have each other's back, who were like you said, they're running to the fire, and did it with like a sense of joy, man. And that's kind of what I hear you describe, and that's the community we're trying to live into being, but we didn't all have the experience of, we have about 4,000 team members, and not everyone had that experience of like being on these fields together like that. And I think there's such great lessons learned that you're pouring into us from those experiences, man.
Right. Well, I think, and that's one of the things that attracted me when Howie and Doug called in August about coming up there. I was fully immersed in coaching high school ball here at Myers Park. And when they called me, and I'm kind of, parsing through this with my family, and my kids are like, Dad, that's a Super Bowl team. Like, like I've kind of been like the plumber, throughout my career. Like I'm the stopgap. I'm the guy in the middle who kind of tries to fix it when it stinks, and so
we gotta write that down.
They were like, Dad, it's a Super Bowl team, it's the Eagles, and I think all of these things we're talking about team and all that stuff, it's stuff that I knew was true, but I had not necessarily gotten to see it manifest itself professionally, so to speak. And so that's what made this year special to me, is because all those things you just said, Case, I think I got to see it this year take place. We losing receivers. These guys are stepping up and having each other's back all along the season. So that was very gratifying for me, and just cemented for me all those thoughts that I'd always had, and to get to see it play out in real time.
Man, hey Mike and Spiro, I know you got another question. I would just like to press things. I'm curious, Josh. My dad he coached me when I was growing up. He wasn't the head coach of the high school, but he coached me a lot, and he was an assistant coach of the high school and things. So he's a football coach, right? I'm getting all that stuff kind of said to me. And I remember him always saying, you'll stop playing football. I don't think he ever pictured 40. I think he'd been real wrong if you were his son. But he said, you'll mid-20s, something. If you play in the NFL, that'll be great. But, by 30, you're probably done playing football. But the lessons you learn, and the lessons you learn in football are ones that are going to carry you your whole life. Like, so take those character lessons. I'm curious, man, what you pour into your own kids, from football, these lessons that you've learned, and what you try to teach them. Them for the life.
Mean, you can step out on a football field and get a lifetime of lessons in one practice. You know what I mean? You can get great, bad, great, bad. Like, you get life in a small window at a practice and in a game where it's you're overcoming adversity, you're coming back, all those things, and so I think there's beauty in that. I think the game itself, and just team sports in general, it brings us together because it, unfortunately, but I think it's what the intention was when God created the universe, was that we would all get behind something and united on that. And I think humanity is at its best, and we see some of that right now, even in this adversity, because it's pulled us together. But we get behind a logo, whatever. I've played for 11 logos, but you get behind that logo, and everybody says we're all in for that. Okay, we're all in for that thing. And once we do that, then all the differences go by the wayside, and we begin to work together, and that's beautiful. And so that's my favorite thing about team sports, that I think it teaches my kids, is just is to once you're focused on something greater than yourself, your ability to see others for who they are and who they really are grows and is enlightened. But when you're not serving something greater than yourself, then you're judgmental. You see the weaknesses in everybody. You climb. You push people aside. So I think it's serving something greater than yourself. I think that was the intention of creation when God created us, and that's what the beauty of team sports does for us. And then so that's my favorite thing about it. And then all the lessons that come in between adversity and all the ups and downs, and the work ethic and all that are all great. But I think it's the main thing that I've tried to always tell my kids is, look what this team does. Look what when the team gets it, when they really get it, when it really. Then they don't care. They're just like, man, whatever's best for our team, let's do that. Let's move forward in that area. And if we can get humanity to get that, in some way, shape, or form, we really operate and function at a high level. So that's what I love about team sports.
Gosh, I mean, this is good. I gotta let them say these guys go back to their questions, but man, what I heard is like, man, when you stop serving yourself and your own interest is ironically, and actually that's when you begin to win, right? Because that's when you start to free up some stuff. The whole team's lifted. I mean, your personal success. I've seen the same thing. Our mission statement as a company is that we exist to love and value people, and we define love is to act in the long-term best interest of another. And I kind of pull that from Philippians 2:3. It says, hey, in all things, consider others more valuable than yourself, right? And that's the ethos, which to me is the ultimate team, right? I mean, when you have a team that's working like you guys were at the Eagles, man, that's everybody experiences more success because of that attitude. I'm gonna shut up. Spiro, Mike, I know you got some more stuff for this guy. Come on.
Yeah, so I mean, I have a great, I think, follow-up question to that. And Josh, you touched on a little bit, is adapting through adversity. And, we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control on how we react to things. And so talk to us a little bit about adversity and how you and leading your teams, on and off the field, what are some things that you do through leading through adversity?
Okay, so I think number one is you said it. You can't control what happens, but you can control how you react. So a couple of practical things is just it just depends on where you are in life, but I bet you today, everybody on this call is you're going to walk out of this room, you're going to stub your toe. Something's going to happen, right? That you didn't want to happen. Okay. That's adversity. Basically, it's when something happens that you don't want to happen, and how you react to that, whether it's, an issue with a family member or somebody cutting you off in traffic or whatever. Those are little reps to me that you get at practicing responding. And so that when the ones that matter come, which are, things that happen at work or in my case, you go 3 and out on the football field or you throw an interception or something. When the ones that matter, because you've stored up reps at practicing, like, man, I'm not going to let it bother me. I think you gain an opportunity to be better in that area. Another practical way is like we talked about earlier, the routine. So after a loss on Sunday, getting back into the routine is because what can happen is when we face adversity, we get flooded with thoughts. Our mind goes, okay, everything that we believed before somehow just flies out the window. And now we're the worst. We can't do it. We may never be able to get back on top. Like everything happens just like that. And so the routine and getting back into that, I think is what starts to remind like I did this to make it to this point. Like I worked out, I do all these things to make it to this point, and it begins to serve as reminders of just exactly who you really are. And so I think those are good things. And then as far as from a leadership standpoint, and really being in front of it is owning your area, owning your part of it, and owning all of it if you can. I think I always like to tell young quarterbacks, like, it may not be your fault, right? Like something may happen. Okay, you throw an interception, it bounces off Casey's hands and it's picked off. All right,
that happened a couple times.
Yeah, but
that was difficult.
But and you can stand at the podium and go, man, that Casey should have caught the ball. I threw a great ball. I don't know what, or you can walk to the front of the room and go, that's on me, man. And you have to have enough self-confidence and wherewithal to go, you know what, this is my team. This is what I'm in front of, and this adversity, we're going to get through it because I'm leading the way, and I'm going to shelter them, and they're going to feel comfortable fighting through this with me because they know I got their back, because they're not catching heat. I got the heat. I'm taking it. And so I love when guys do that. Coaches taught me that early on. Just like, man, he tell me like, hey, fumble snap, center snap, always it's on you, man. Like I don't want to hear about like, oh man, the center didn't get it up high enough, whatever. It's on you. Which is partly why I went into that game nervous when Jason Kelsey was snapping these balls. I'm like, man, he fires it. Like, I got to catch it because my mentality is it's on me if I don't catch it. But it is. And it was, and I didn't get that at the time. And coach got on me. And I'm like, oh, it's his fault. And he goes, no, let me tell you something. When you step to the front and own that for that player, and when you tell him, that's on me, that guy runs to a wall for you because he knows that he's protected. And he knows that he can give maximum effort, and he's free to make mistakes because you got his back, because you got him covered. And again, I think that preaches in another realm too, because when we operate in forgiveness and grace, and we know that we're free to make mistakes, we are our best person. So I think when you lead through adversity, if you're leading, it's giving. If you're in adversity, it means somebody screwed up somewhere, right? Something happened that you didn't want to happen. And so you have to step to the front, provide cover so that the people under you and that are following you feel free to step back into their best roles and get through it.
Man, this is so good. My phone is like blowing up with text right now, just from guys going like, I have a question. Yeah, I think they're about to fire me, Josh, once you put president here, man. So, Spiro, man, I know we got time for like one more, man. I'm sorry because my phone is like scrolling with text right now with guys like begging to ask a question from Josh.
Yeah,
Spiro, you go, hey, make this a good one, Spiro. All right? Like,
yeah, well, it's funny. He talked about owning, and then after the Seattle playoff loss, Josh, I think a reporter was talking to you about the Miles Sanders pass that he dropped. And that could have been a touchdown. And you said, no, he didn't drop it. I mean, I could have placed the ball better for him to run in the end zone. You took ownership of that pass. And me and Mike were watching the YouTube video of your press conference where you took ownership for that loss and you showed your leadership skills. So my question is to you, you've been known around the league of gaining the respect of your coaches, your teammates, and that having that natural leadership skills. Is that something that you naturally came to you when you came to the league, or is it something that you worked on every year to get better at? Did you read books? Like, you know?
Yeah, I think it's kind of all of it. You know, watching, you know, thankfully growing up in a house with parents who weren't afraid to lead and would step in the front. My dad ran a business, so I think that part of it. I think getting in the league and watching guys, you know, watching good leaders and then watching guys not lead well. You know, I think I learned a lot. I told you, a lot of situations I was in was, you know, a new head coach, a startup situation. And so I was like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You know, it was addition by subtraction. So I think a little bit of that. And then really the last part was just serving, you know, and just understood the value of serving others and how far that got me. And I think that really kind of started cementing itself, crossing paths with John Casey here in Charlotte in 2008, 2009, then being out of the league. And so I think the security in the ownership part is part of what we just talked about. And for me, coming out of that game, like one of the things, like Miles Sanders is a young player. And I didn't feel like I threw the ball as well as I could have, you know. That was the truth, and so I don't expect Miles Sanders to make, like, I have to make his job easier. That's the way it should be because I'm in the front, I'm the leader, and so again, it's I want to protect his psyche, I want to protect his mentality of just he's a playmaker, he's a good player, and I want him to know, you know what, I can make that better for you. You know, and I think as leaders, when we own it, we set the tone for ownership, then the people around us own it. And imagine if Miles is walking away going, why didn't I catch that ball? I could have caught that ball. So then you get two people that are going, I could have done more. I could have done more. Well, then the next time you get out there, something special can happen because you've got guys now that go throughout the week pouring over what they could have done better. Instead of when there's a lack of ownership, there's no way to get better because you're going, well, it wasn't me. So then why would you turn on the film Monday and pursue anything to get better? Because you're going, well, I did what I was supposed to do, you know? And so I think ownership says, what could I have done to be better? What could I have done to make us better? And when we all own that, and it's not in this you know, this kind of this false humility way where we're all, you know, but it's legitimately looking at it going, man, what can I have done better? And if everybody's taking that on, I think we have a chance because now we're all looking at it and we're coming back together going, man, this is what I could have done better. This is what I could have done better. And if we're meeting in the middle over that, then I think that's when we can start scratching greatness.
Hey, can I ask one follow-up sports question from the Philly team?
It's like a 10-seconder, man.
It's a one-word answer, Josh. One-word answer.
Josh,
I'm good.
This is a one-word answer.
No, we got this.
You played for
That's
two of the
back me
craziest
up on this.
fan bases in the NFL. Eagles and
a
Jets.
minute, $250 a minute was the fine when I was playing. I was way back for being late. So we don't mess around with time stuff here.
So you played for two of the craziest NFL fans in the league, Jets and Eagles.
Yeah.
We want to know who was the craziest in your mind, Eagles or Jets fans?
The Philadelphia Jets. I got my Spiro mug here, my guy.
Oh man,
I enjoyed my time at the Jets, but like listening to the stories and for the most part, I got to experience a good year this year. Like it was tough but fun. But so I got the kind of the good part of the Philly fans. But listening to those guys talk about how they got booed at halftime after the Super Bowl, like the opener when they had a horrible first half opening day after they won the Super Bowl, and they were like, we got like unmercifully booed at halftime. And I'm like, these are the best fans. There's no question. They're the most passionate, and it's, you know, Jets fans are different. I think Jets fans need to experience a little bit more success to be able to fully kind of embrace their fandom and understand themselves fully. I think they've only kind of had one side of it. But Philly fans, there's nothing like them.
Hey, listen, guys. I know, man. We're all so thankful. Josh, we have 150 teammates on here, man, that you can't see, but man, we want to just. My phone is like, I'm gonna take me 20 minutes to get through all these texts, just to people thanking you, man, for pouring into us today. Like, I'm blown away, man. You know, whatever happens with football, man, you got a huge leadership path ahead of you, and speaking and pouring into guys, man. So thank you for what you've done, for how you've done it. And I'll tell you, man, we're a company that's all about, man, we know when people pour into us, there's an investment made, and we believe, man, in giving you a return on that investment. So I know these lessons are going to be pouring back out of our guys as we take extreme ownership, man, as we look to be mentors, find mentors, set up these routines in life that are going to make us successful, and look to love and serve each other, man, being fast in the fire, fast in the fight, man. So I just, on behalf of our entire team, man, thank you for these 30 minutes you've invested in us, man. It will not be in vain. We're gonna take it and multiply this investment, man. Really appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Josh.
I appreciate you guys.